what do you think is like, what did the left lose their mind over? Like, what is your claim that like brings you, or what is the piece of evidence that you have that the left has like lost their mind? Like, can you expand on your
Yeah.
stance a little?
Yes. So the left used to be very moderate, and they are not anymore. Like when I came to the United States in 2011, I used to watch CNN. They used to be very moderate, and now look at what they are advocating for: open borders, releasing criminals out of prison, abolishing prisons, abolishing the police, abolish ICE. I can keep going.
Okay, these are a lot of the stuff you said. I heard abolish the police, right? You said abolish
Yeah,
ICE, open borders, uh, and what else? You can pick one more, I guess.
abolish the police, prisons, ICE.
Abolish prisons. Right. So a lot of this abolish stuff, has there been any policies that have been like enacted that have like taken us close to this? Because I feel like these three things that you've said are a lot of like really extreme left, like abolish the police. I think it was defund, right? That was the big talking point way back in 2020 and still now that we should defund the police. Do you want to talk about that one first?
No, you. I want to answer your question. You asked me if there have been any policies that have been any legislative policies that have been passed. The answer to that is no. I'm talking about the platform that the last DSA members have been running.
So the DSA, how do you know how much of the DSA makes up the left wing of American politics?
It's irrelevant because it's growing in numbers.
It's growing in numbers.
Yeah.
Um, if there was like, so right now the DSA has about 120,000 active members. I could think about like two or maybe three, right? Do you know the three that I'm thinking of for
Uh,
the DSA?
Probably the people in the one in New York City and the one from Colorado.
Mamdani, AOC, or I don't know about Colorado. I was thinking AOC, Mamdani,
A lady
and
just
Bernie
won in
Sanders.
Colorado, didn't she? Or she
For the
won the
DSA?
Democratic primary, actually. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
Okay. So are you talking about like the DSA as like this is your example of what leftism is, or are you just saying leftism as a whole? Like, because we could talk
Well,
about the DSA.
I look at it with a little bit more nuance, right? So I'm
Okay.
looking at the people that are running and what they are advocating for, and then I am looking at what the mainstream media is turning a blind eye on, and I'm also
Okay.
looking at what Democrats are siding with and what they are turning a blind eye on and
Okay.
what they are supporting.
Let's start on the first one. Can you name somebody from the DSA or the left in general that's ran on the platform of abolishing the police, prisons, or ICE?
Yeah, the last lady.
From Colorado?
I think she was from Colorado. Yeah, give me a second. I can't actually. I might be able to pull it up on my phone. Hold on. I can give
Is
you.
it Malat Kiros in
Uh,
Colorado? It's in Congress, right? Malat Kiros?
yeah. How do you say her last name? How do you spell it?
Kiros.
Hey, I
ROS.
ROS. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Now, hold on.
So I'm looking at their now this is obviously like you should not do this, right? You should not look at a like person's like a well this is what we have right now, right? Because she just won, correct? I'm on her site right now. I see four priorities. I see Medicare for
Mhm.
all, end all wars, universal child and elder care, and I do see abolish ICE.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk of which one of these four or all of these four going too far in your opinion?
Abolish. Can you read the four again? Because I don't have her profile pulled up.
Medicare for all,
Yep.
universal child slash elder care,
Mhm.
end all wars, and abolish ICE.
The first two and the last one, abolish ICE.
So not end all wars.
No, I think that's normal.
And then
I
Medicare,
think, hold on, let me rephrase that. I think wanting to end all wars, I think it's is noble and it's a good idea. I actually have that idea as well. I'm pretty sure you have that idea as well. I don't think that it's always something that can be achieved.
sure. I also would agree. I mean, maybe you'd agree too that something like Medicare for all and universal child care is a very noble cause. That's a good thing for the country.
I
Like, do
would
you think
disagree
that's
on
off the
that.
rocker?
I would
Why?
disagree on that because anytime the government became what's the word that I'm looking for? Every time the government became the welfare system for families has done more harm than good.
Okay, so you think that giving people Medicare and giving them child and elder care, if it comes from the government, it's bad?
Well, yes, I think if the government gets to control what kind of healthcare you get, I think it's absolutely bad. And we can look at Europe, we can look at Canada. They are absolute insane lines to wait for a specialist. I come from Europe, so the
Okay.
private healthcare in Europe is booming because the state funded one is an absolute disaster.
Sure. So when these two things, right, let's Medicare for all and universal child and elder care, do you think that they mean like exclusively that these are like they have to come from the government?
Well, that is what they mean. Yes, in their own words. That's
I,
what
I'm
Bernie
look I'm looking at
Sanders.
the
That's what Bernie Sanders has been advocating for
Well,
since.
let's look at Kiros because you did bring Kiros up, right? I'm
Yeah,
looking at these campaign statements right now. I can't click on them. I don't see any. I see them pointing out a problem and saying that it's bad, right?
correct.
And then I don't see like it has to like depend on the government, but I'll agree it's probably from the government,
Yeah,
right? Um, for for these two like social programs, can you explain why government assistance for Medicare and child and elder care are bad?
because historically in the United States and all over the world, the moment the government got involved, they reduced quality and they limited the number of services. I don't want the government to dictate to me if a surgery is elective or if I actually need it, which actually has happened. I had a neighbor that had exactly the same condition that I did, and he was like on Medicare, Medicaid, whatever the heck he was on. He didn't get it. I got it. I paid for it. I had my insurance, and so on and so forth. I every time, and we see this everywhere. You ask anybody, can you name me one thing the government is doing good when it comes to managing money? Nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can give you an answer. But in the same time, we want the government to control our healthcare. The VA is an absolute disaster.
Absolutely, I completely
So,
agree. I
so
have
why
many
would I want the
members,
government involved in my healthcare? I
because I
want,
think this.
I want
I think the.
what I
Well, go ahead.
want, and this is something that I wish more Republicans and conservatives would talk about, but they don't. What we need in healthcare in America is a business. I had Lyme disease for 5 years. I was in and out of the hospital. Trust me when I tell you, healthcare is a business and it's a joke in this country. I totally understand and I see why people are frustrated, and I totally understand and I see and I see why some people look at that and they are like, yeah, we actually should have that. But the fact of the matter is that healthcare in America would become so much better than already is, if we would have more competition. Look at LASIK, for example. It used to be thousands and thousands of dollars to get LASIK. And now it's like, what, $500? If that, we need more competition, because the moment you have more competition in healthcare, that is when things get better. The problem is
Mhm.
we have a lot of hospitals that are supporting the monopoly, and you have big pharma that, again, they have the monopoly on everything.
If there was legislation that had been recently passed that because I agree the healthcare industry as it is right now is an insane capitalist ploy preying on the most vulnerable people in the world, right? If there was legislation right or what would legislation right now that kind of gives big pharma the finger that had been passed, would that sort of like change your view on that?
If it would well, it would depend what kind of legislation it would be, but I would be very much in favor of ending lobbying for everything in government, and I would be very much in favor of legislation that would give little healthcare companies an incentive. Right? I come from Europe. Everybody that I talk to, I'm a business owner. I own a few businesses. Everybody that I talk to, I tell them the reason why the economy in America is really booming compared to Europe is because here you are incentivized as a little guy to create something. Doesn't
Hmm.
apply to healthcare. So if there would be some legislation coming up, to answer your question, that would give the little guy that would try to get into healthcare a standing leg, I would 100% be open to that. I'm not going to give a blanket yes, because again, we all know how bills work and how much bullshit they put in the bills, both Democrats and
Right.
Republicans.
So one of the most important acts that had passed 4 years ago was the Affordable Insulin Now Act, which obviously was the cap for insulin that was $35 a month, which like the insulin prices were ridiculous. I don't know if you remember, they were skyrocketing to like $200 at the top, right? Which was a Democratic bill. The
Mm-hmm.
Republicans absolutely hated it. They thought it was bad because obviously they're kind of a lot of the Republicans are bought and paid for by big pharma. But of course, the vote it was 232 to 193. And then the Senate package it was all Democrats, all Republicans. I think if you remember, this is one of the most like one of the only things that Kamala Harris really did as vice president. She casted the tie-breaking vote, if you remember, in the Senate for
Mm-hmm.
the insulin bill to pass. So I think the idea that the healthcare that we get from the government, and this can be rolled into childcare as well, in the status quo with this kind of government that kind of shills to the to big pharma, right? That kind of government that we have right now, you're right, is not compatible with universal healthcare and Medicare. But if we pass or if we like not like support, but like if we continue to like vote on these platforms and make it a voting issue, and we as the people decide that this is what's best, stuff like the affordable insulin bill can pass, and stuff like Obamacare, not exactly Obamacare, because Obamacare was well kind of doomed to start, but didn't go so well. So I don't think like you're right. Right now, the government probably isn't the best or like the best for like the current administration. It probably isn't the best for universal health care and childcare, but with the correct people that we put in power, it can be.
Yeah, so
Because
this is one of those things that I think an alliance could be made, and
right,
we could reach across the aisle on the left and on the right. But again, it would all depend on what would be in the bill. I'm very much against bills with multiple shit in it. And if you
mm-hmm,
want to have a bill for something specific, make it for that specific, not for something else. Like
a
we
hundred
shouldn't have a
percent,
bill that
100%.
deals with healthcare and border, for example.
Yes. So I now okay, you say that, right? Do you think that the Democrats do that more or the Republicans that put a gigantic bill together, a big bill
Both.
to
Both
roll it?
do it.
It's both, right? It's a
Yeah.
bipartisan issue.
Yeah.
Who do you think is more egregious?
Who do I think is more what?
Egregious. Like who does it like the worst?
I don't know. I never looked into it since I look at it as an issue on both sides.
So we're talking about gigantic over like the gigantic bills that kind of just do a bunch of stuff at once.
Yep.
I'm sure you know about the big beautiful bill, Trump's
Yep.
gigantic, yeah, that absolute monstrosity, which reversed a lot of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Acts. It destroyed Medicaid funding and it cut SNAP benefits and EBT, and then repealed renewable energy and electricity vehicle tax credits that the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, like helped build. Like I think that kind of political maneuvering is why I don't feel like the left is that crazy. Like you say that they've lost their mind, which is obviously like you can say that, but I think when the Republicans do stuff like this and the current administration puts a giant bill with a whole bunch of stuff that you said you didn't like,
Yep.
I think that's more indicative that I think your central claim that like
But
the
hold on a
left used
second.
to be
The big beautiful bill doesn't mean the Republicans lost their minds. Do I like the bill? I wasn't really in favor of the bill. I don't think it did anything to lower the deficit of the United States. But that doesn't mean that they lost their minds. When I'm saying that the left have lost their minds, I'm referring directly to the things that they are advocating for and what they want to change in the United States. Conservatives and Republicans, we kind of stayed where we were. We support the police. We want legal immigration. We want to protect the border. We want national security. We want less crime. We are okay with trade, but also keeping other countries in check. That's where the Republican and conservative mindset is. the reason why I'm saying the left have lost their mind is because they keep going more and more and more and more to the left.
Right. Do you think that, so you're saying that conservatives, or rather Republicans, have completely, like, the Republicans have not moved at all?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we kind of stayed around the same zone compared to the left. Like, if you listen, let me put it this way. If you listen to 15 years ago, what Republicans advocated for, it's pretty much give or take in part to what they are advocating today. If you listen to what Democrats and the left have advocated 15 years ago, it's completely different than what they are advocating today. To 15, 20 years ago, Democrats sound like today's Republicans.
All right.
I mean, Bernie Sanders stated, and I quote, and this was 16 years ago, he was interviewed about open borders, and he literally stated, Bernie Sanders, the big socialist of the United States, he stated that open borders would make every American poorer. And look what Democrats have done under the Biden administration.
So I do have to disagree that I do think the Republicans have changed. Like, I think both parties have polarized. I don't think it's like I think it is kind of each other's faults, but I think that's just how it goes, right? Let's talk about trade, right? Do you remember you said 15 years ago, we'll call it 2012 because that was like 4 elections ago, right? Somewhat. You remember stuff like NAFTA and free trade and corporate like globalization, where we would have a lot of big corporations operating all around the world. Stuff like nearshoring and offshoring was big for the Republicans, but now we see it's a lot towards like the tariffs that were used throughout 2024 to combat like competition. Now the Republicans have completely flipped the lid and said, actually, that offshoring we did to foreign countries is taking away American jobs. We need to put America first. Let's talk about immigration. So in 2012, one of
so can
the
I
big
just make
Republican...
a parenthesis and just say here real quick that majority of U.S. presidents in modern times supported tariffs. But go ahead, continue with immigration.
Sure. The point about tariffs is that it's a shift from what the Republicans wanted in 2012 to 2024, because tariffs harm international trade. While in 2012 they were big globalization fans, they did stuff like offshoring, giving jobs to like India and doing like
so I would call that a good thing. Being
but they switched, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Can I go to immigration?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so in 2012, what Republicans were really pushing for, and this is from Reuters here, the Republicans really wanted large-scale immigration reform, but now it is completely switched from like reform to close the border, which good or bad, right? I'm not making an argument whether it's good or bad. I'm saying we're seeing a polarization, like sides are getting more extreme, and I think the biggest. Oh, absolutely.
Not really,
I think
because one thing, immigration reform, it's whatever. Republicans were not in favor of unchecked immigration, and they were not in favor of open borders, and still are not today. Democrats were against open borders, but are in favor of it today. So
basically, the thing about immigration is they've went from reform to lock the border down, which is a complete stance.
It's still being against open borders, and it's still being against illegal immigration. The base is still there. Versus with Democrats, they supported legal immigration, and now they are okay and defending illegal immigration, which is completely polar opposite.
We can agree that when Mitt Romney and John McCain ran on platforms of immigration, it was a stark contrast between what Trump said, correct? Like what he ran on.
You broke up. What did you say?
So we can agree that Mitt Romney and John McCain, right, had very different positions when it came to Trump on the border and illegal immigration.
Yes, we can agree on that.
So what that message of build the wall, kick them out, deport them, right? They're sending bad people from we need to reform, make the system better. You would say that that's a like very large polarization between where Republicans sat in 2012 to now.
No, I would say that both times they were against illegal immigration. That hasn't changed.
Right, but it was just different extremes, right?
It's just the approach that changed. Yes, some Republicans wanted reform. Some Republicans didn't want reform. We have Republicans today. a few that are in favor of reform. I, for one, I don't think we need immigration reform. The system works the way it's supposed to be as long as people come here the legal way.
Okay, I'll address that. Right? You're saying the system works now, right? Perfectly, or not
I'm not
perfectly,
saying
right?
no.
But it says
I'm not
good.
saying it works perfectly because it's made by humans, and anything that is made by humans is never going to be perfect because we are flawed creatures. But the system works.
Okay, you say the
I
system.
wouldn't just as a parenthesis. Sorry for interrupting you here. I would entertain doing something with DACA. I'll meet you halfway there in a way. I'll give that concession, but I wouldn't give anything else on the aspect of immigration.
Okay, so we can take DACA, right? Would you agree that for people trying to legally immigrate to the United States, the wait times are far too long?
Depending on the country.
Depending on the wait. Okay, what countries do you think deserve a longer wait time?
The countries that we are having issues in the United States with.
Like who?
Mexico.
So you think like Mexico should have a longer wait time than, let's say, Sweden?
Yes.
Why?
Because we have millions and millions of illegals from Mexico versus people from Sweden.
So a person who is applying for United States citizenship, who by all means is not a cartel member or smuggling drugs into the country and generally wants a better life
Mm-hmm.
for themselves and their family, needs to wait 15 years because other people in that country are doing bad things.
Now
And
they
might
have
I
to wait
add,
15 years because their country, as in Mexico, is a drug cartel ran country that don't protect their northern border and they don't prevent their own people from being smuggled in the United States. It's not
well,
the
okay,
it's not the immigrants' fault, it's the government's fault.
right, but why are you punishing the immigrant?
We are not punishing. We are accepting millions of people under asylum every single year. Every year in the United States, we are naturalizing over 700,000 immigrants. We are approving over 1.5 million new green cards. We are approving and accepting over 2.5 million work visas and work permits. On top of asylum, on top of TPS, on top of everything else that it comes with immigration. So, by all intents and purposes, in my opinion, we are doing enough. There are billions of people. There are an estimated 3.5 to 4 billion people in the world that are struggling. That doesn't mean that the United States is the Section 8 of the world, right?
That's okay, that's true, right? But saying that they deserve a 15-year wait time for something that
I'm
is
not saying they
outside of
deserve. I'm saying there's an action and consequence. For example, I'll give you an example. I'm from Romania. We are neighboring Hungary, right? Hungarian citizens can come to the United States with no visa, just with a passport. They can stay here for 90 days as a temporary tourist. They don't need anything. Okay? Romanian citizens, on the other side, on the other hand, we do need visas, even tourist visas, to come to the United States. Two countries, one next to another. Why? Because Romanians, the number one crime of Romanians in the United States is identity theft, is debit card, credit card, personal information theft. Hungarians, very, very, very minimal crime to the United States. Romanians, on the other hand, they are embarrassing all of us. So then, two countries from the same part of the world, one doesn't need visas, the other one needs visas. Why? That is a consequence of what Romanians are doing in the United States. That simple. The same with
okay.
Mexico. The same with Canada. Mexico is bordering us on the south. Canada is bordering us on the north. Canadians can come here as a tourist with nothing. Mexicans have to wait in line. Why? Because you don't have mass migration, child trafficking, and sex trafficking at the northern border the same way you have it with Mexico. That's why.
Okay, I understand, right? But I will say this. Do you not think that the wait times in Mexico and other countries where it's not as easy for Hungarians or Canadians to get into the country contributes to the amount of illegal immigration there is to the United States?
I don't think. Well, in a way, probably, definitely affects illegal immigration, but we shouldn't lower our standard just because somebody is going to commit a crime.
Sure, but a lot of the people who are choosing the path of illegal immigration is not because they hate the United States. Rather, I think it's the
Well,
opposite,
some
right?
actually do.
Right, but the majority of people
Want a better
do
life,
want to.
yes.
They want a better life, but they are
And
forced to use illegal immigration because the system has it's 140,000 cap for green cards, right? There are a lot of bureaucratic barriers and arbitrary limiters.
yeah,
Like it's not lowering the standard. Obviously, I believe in background checks and making sure the people that come into our country aren't like monsters, right? I absolutely agree with that. But I also think when you tighten border security and you make it almost impossible for most people to
but it's
get
not
into the country
impossible.
legally, you're right. That's why I said almost impossible. If it wasn't possible, we would not be having a debate. Almost impossible for most people to get into this country legally, hence the 15-year wait time for Mexicans, right? Then that increases illegal immigration. But I would like to move on to foreign
So,
policy.
a couple of things on this. So, um, 1 second. So these are the legal times for Mexico, for Mexicans to come to the United States. If you are the parent of a U.S. citizen, it's 1 to 2 years. Employment-based green cards are 2 to 5 years.
But
Employment-based,
with the asterisk that there's a cap for 140,000.
yeah. So
What?
should we remove the cap because somebody might cross the border illegally?
No, we should probably raise the
Exactly.
cap because I think it's like I think immigration is good for the United States, but I think
Well,
restricting it to
after the last 4
140,000.
years, there are a lot of people, myself including, that would absolutely be okay with an immigration moratorium for a few years, just to get everything back in check.
100% agree, and I think it's best
Yeah.
for the
So,
United
are you
States when we
familiar with
bring
the approval rate for asylum in the United States?
uh for which country?
General, average asylum approvals in the United States.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so ChatGPT says it's between 15 and 18%. I think it's more like 20 to 25%.
So from this is Peter. It's the law offices of Peter Darwin. There's probably a better source from the Department of Justice. They have it broken down by nationality, but I'm trying to look
I
for a
don't care for
total number.
nationality. I'm talking in general. From all the asylum applications that the United States government is receiving, we are approving about 20%, give or take, depending on the year, depending on the month, right?
Yeah.
The argument cannot be that if we only approve 20%, that means that the other 80% are going to try to break our laws and come into the country illegally. We have laws in place for a reason, and part of being a grown-up and loving your country and prioritizing your country is understanding that what might not be good for your auntie or abuela might be good for the nation. So we have laws in place, and I'm speaking as an immigrant here. Your first act at chasing your own American dream cannot be breaking our laws.
I understand the perspective. Can we go to foreign policy?
No, because I don't know much about it, and I don't
Oh,
agree
I mean
with
that's
I don't agree with Iran. I'm not a big fan of what we did with Ukraine and Russia.
right. So I feel like that kind of stance, flipping from being like, those situations, not kind of a bang up job by the Republicans, right? Like, do you think that the Iran war is senseless?
Right now, yes.
Was that the left's fault? Whose fault was that?
Our fault. Well, Trump's fault.
Well, sure, right? But the issue, the thing I'm pointing out here is that the polarization of the parties does go both ways. So you
Correct.
can say that the left has quote unquote lost their absolute minds, but you also have to look at the Republicans who are waging senseless wars in the Middle East like it's 2000 again. Which, by the way,
I agree.
Afghanistan also like the whole what the Republican their track record on foreign policy has been abysmal. We can agree on that.
Well,
right?
I mean, we cut down the trade deficit in half, according to CNN from 2 days ago. So
right, the trade deficit. But I'm talking about what we've done in the Middle East what we've done to those people, murder or in Iraq, in Iran,
I mean,
with China, handling Russia. Like you
uh,
got to admit, it's not a great track record of
what
foreign policy.
we are in good relations with China.
What about the Middle East?
Yeah,
The
the
Middle East,
Middle East.
the
Yeah, I
wars.
mean, look, I think for me it's a little bit more nuanced.
Sure.
So the way I look at it is, I'm trying to think how I'm gonna phrase this just for TikTok purposes, because I'm very open about this on Instagram, and I don't really like. I'm very very honest about how I feel about it. Do I think that we have a reason to be in Iran right now? The answer is no. Am I gonna lose sleep? The terrorists are being under rubble? Not a fucking chance. If it would be up to me, every terrorist would get 1,000 cuts and be thrown in the ocean. But
I understand that perspective, but we're not in Iran hunting terrorists.
well, we
You know,
we
you know why,
we
you know
we
why, we
unalived a
know.
lot. We unalived a lot of their leadership, which are terrorists. So
Right. The We've also killed or unalived a lot of innocent people and a
yeah,
lot of people who did not deserve to die. Also, if we're talking about just Iran, we both know why we're there, right?
I don't bring oil. I don't think so.
No, no, it's not. It's not oil. It's Israel, right?
No, I
That's
don't
why
think
we're in.
so. I really don't think
You
so.
don't think that we're defending Israel or Israel from?
But I mean, we've been supporting and defending Israel for a long time. I don't think we invaded a country because of Israel.